Hello, everybody. I'm truly delighted to have been invited to speak at the first ever Dreams and Spirituality Conference in India. India is the perfect place to hold such a conference, I feel. This is my third time in India. My first time here was when I was 21, and it was love at first sight. I loved the people, the warm welcome, and all the sights and sensations that one experiences in India. And so I'm just as excited to be back here again, many, many years later. And I find that this is a really nice place to have a Dreams and Spirituality Conference because India has such an incredibly rich cultural and spiritual heritage. Thousands of years ago, Indian sages were teaching people how to wake up to the illusion, wake up to Maya, wake up to this big dream of life. And waking up is a choice. We don't have to wake up in this lifetime. We can stay asleep if we want to. We can sleepwalk through our lives. It's okay. It's our choice. But I think that those of you who have come all this way to this conference and to this talk are probably interested in waking up and expanding your consciousness towards enlightenment. When I was 3 years old, very young, I had my first flash of lucid awareness, lucid consciousness in a dream where I was in a swimming pool and then I began to drown in this dream. And I was panicking, I was very upset. And then I suddenly realized, hey, I have a choice. I can stay in this dream and drown, or I can wake up. And I chose to wake up. And I did that by rolling over really violently in the bed, and I fell onto the floor and woke up. And so that early dream memory, that was one of my first ever memories, became a kind of metaphor for my life. I choose to wake up, and it's a choice we make every day. It's not a one-off thing when we're 3 years old. This is a choice we commit to every single day, every single moment of our lives. So today, I'm here to talk to you about the potential of lucid dreaming, from problem solving and creativity to healing, right the way through to consciousness expansion and spiritual enlightenment. So first of all, what are lucid dreams? Lucid dreams are dreams where we know that we are dreaming while we are asleep and dreaming. So lucid dreams happen when we are physiologically asleep. And it's amazing because in most dreams, we get sucked into the dream reality, just as we are sucked into this waking reality, and we can't see anything beyond it. So we may be dreaming that we're fighting with a bear or abseiling off a cliff. And it's totally real. We're so immersed in this multisensory environment, and we don't realize that we are actually dreaming. And if something happens sometimes, like let's say we're dreaming of our deceased grandmother, we're talking to her, and suddenly we'll think, hang on a minute, my grandmother died 7 years ago, and yet here I am talking to her. This can't be happening. Surely this must be a dream. And that is the moment of lucidity. That is the moment where we wake up to the reality that we are in a dream state. No matter how real it really feels like our grandma's there. But we become lucid in that dream. And then we can ask our grandmother for words of advice or wisdom, or we can hug her again and smell her scent and really feel like we're there with her. So when we become lucid in a dream, we have many, many options. We can go with the flow of the dream. We don't have to control the dream. We can go with the flow. We can invite new experiences into that dream state because the dream is a thought responsive environment. This means that our thoughts, expectations, hopes, desires, beliefs, intentions, they all automatically are received by the dream and the dream responds. So we are co-creating this dream together. So it's a wonderful state of consciousness. And often when we wake up in a dream, we we experience real kind of heightened awareness. It's almost like watching a film in black and white and having it suddenly change to color. It's like super alert, super aware consciousness. And so that's what lucid dreaming is. It's conscious dreaming, waking up in the dream state. Now, lucid dreams are fairly common. Some research by Saunders and others shows that 55% of people have had at least one lucid dream in their lifetime, and that 23% of people have one or two or more dreams per month, lucid dreams. So I just want to ask you, who here has ever had a lucid dream in your lifetime? Wow, that's a lot. That's probably about 80%. Great. And who has had more than one lucid dream? Uh-huh. Good. That's more like about maybe 50%. And how many people have at least two or three lucid dreams every month? Okay, that's fewer. That's more like about 10% or 15 maybe. Yeah, very good. And lucid dreaming is a learnable skill. So basically, for the past 50 years, there's been a lot of lucid dream scientific research. So in 1975, lucid dreaming was scientifically proved by Dr. Keith Hearn at the University of Hull in England. And since then, there have been hundreds of studies into lucid dreaming. So I'm going to touch on a few of those and just, yeah, talk you through some of the scientifically proved uses of lucid dreaming before we go into the deeper stuff. But first of all, let's talk very briefly about how to wake up in your dreams. So, it's all about raising our level of consciousness. And we can do this every day of our lives because the more conscious awareness we bring to our life, the more likely we are to have lucid dreams, to find it easy to realize which state of consciousness we're in. And one way of practicing raising our lucid awareness is to practice reality checks. So, a reality check is when you seriously ask yourself the question, am I dreaming right now? And then you do something to test your reality. So, one very common one is trying to put your finger through the palm of your hand. Because if you're in the dream state, you can put it through because there's no physicality. So, that's one test. Another is to pinch your nose closed and close your mouth and try and breathe. And in the dream, you can breathe because you haven't closed your physical nostrils. And one of my favorites is floating. So you jump into the air and you see if you float. See if you come back to earth more slowly. Because when you're in the dream body, you're light and you're floaty and it feels completely different. And also looking at your hands. You could do the hand flip test where you look at your hands, you flip them over, and you see if they've changed. Because in the dream state, they're very likely to morph, or the fingers will grow long, or something strange like that will happen. So, what we're going to do is just a 1 minute, very short little meditation where we're just going to become more alert, more aware, improve the quality of our consciousness, and ask ourselves whether or not we are dreaming. So, if you'd like to just close your eyes for a moment, and the way into our awareness is through the breath. So, if you close your eyes and feel the breath, moving in and out of your body. Just settle into that feeling. Bring your attention to your spine. Is your spine straight or are you slouching? And become aware of your sensory perceptions. What can you hear? What can you taste in your mouth? What can you see behind your closed eyelids? What does the air smell like? Feel your feet on the ground, your breath rising and falling, and be aware that you are conscious right now at this moment in your life. Everything is happening now. Everything is in this one moment of conscious awareness. And now ask yourself, am I dreaming? Expect to discover that the answer to this question is yes. Ask yourself, how do I know I'm not dreaming? Hold this moment of conscious awareness and imagine what you would do if this were a lucid dream. Would you fly out of the window over Cubborn Park? Or would you examine the texture of the carpet? What would you do if this were a lucid dream? And now open your eyes and look around you. Notice the colors and shapes, the beauty. Is this a dream? Are you dreaming right now? And when we do this, we wake up to the bigger dream of life. We put our attention on the present moment. We give the present moment the power and the consciousness that it deserves. We're not sleepwalking through our lives. We raise that level of lucid awareness. And the more often we do this by day, the more likely we are to do this by night and become lucid in our dreams. Okay? And lucid dreams are highly thought responsive environments. Okay, so everything we think or feel or imagine or desire will start to manifest very quickly in the lucid dream state. And we can learn a lot from practicing in this thought responsive environment. For example, one woman had a nightmare. She was in a white room and there was a pulsating black ball. And the more frightened she became, the faster it pulsated and the more frightening it was, until she realized that it was pulsating exactly in synchrony with her heartbeat, her accelerated heartbeat. And she understood, okay, if I calm myself down, calm my heartbeat, this terrible black ball will go smaller. And it did. So she was able to understand the nature of her fear. And this is how we learn. We learn that when we're fearful in a dream, it becomes more fearful. When we are curious and open, magic happens. Amazing things can happen. So the thought responsive nature of lucid dreams teaches us as well about the nature of reality, because in this big dream of life, we are also in a thought responsive environment. This is a thought responsive universe. Okay, it responds a little more slowly because it's a denser kind of dream, because it's a collective dream. because we are all dreaming this reality together. But when we play around with the thought responsive nature of lucid dreams, we understand more the power of our thoughts. And it's super important to consider the kind of thoughts that you're thinking. What are you putting out there? What are you creating? So we take these moments of conscious awareness in order to expand our awareness and live a more joyful, conscious life. So now I'm going to talk about some of the uses of lucid dreaming. So, for example, the development of skills in lucid dreams. There have been studies into sports performance in lucid dreams. So, for example, there were 840 athletes, and they were asked to try and lucid dream about their particular sport, whether it was running or swimming or kickboxing. And it was found that they could actually improve their sports skills when they practice them in their lucid dreams, because there's a big connection between the actions we carry out in our lucid dreams and the physical actions we carry out in waking life. And there are neuronal connections made when we practice these sports skills, these movements in the sleep state. And studies have been done that show that when we clench our fist in waking life and when we clench our fist in a lucid dream, the same areas of the brain are activated. So there's this definite correlation between the dream body and the physical body. And one of my colleagues, Dr. Melanie Schädlich, she did an amazing doctoral research program where she interviewed many people who were exploring different physical skills in their lucid dreams. One guy, he was a swimmer. He was told by his swim teacher he'd never be any good at swimming, charming, but he practiced in his lucid dreams. He would create an entire swimming pool full of honey, for example, to test the muscle resistance. He would practice his roles. And he became the best student. He ended up with the highest possible mark because he had practiced in his lucid dreams. So there are all sorts of skills that we can practice in our dreams. And this becomes a part of who we are and a part of our waking performance. I worked once with a young girl. She was about 13 at the time, and she was doing gymnastics. And she had to do a very special, complicated gymnastics maneuver on the bar. She was building up to this exam. She became lucid in a dream and practiced and practiced and practiced. And on the day, she executed this very complex acrobatic maneuver perfectly. So it can work. We can bring these skills into our physical world. Same with language skills. When I was studying French at university, in my final year, I was in the north of England and it was really cold and rainy and didn't feel like France at all. So when I went to sleep, in my lucid dreams, I would teleport to the south of France and I would speak French with the French because our brain remembers everything. It records everything we've ever heard. And so I had that, that perfect accent readily available to me. And I would go and spend time with these French people in my lucid dreams, talking and talking. And it served me in good stead because I ended up doing very well with my French degree because while the other students were fast asleep, I was practicing my language skills in my dreams. And you can do this with other things as well, like public speaking. So in a lucid dream, you could manifest an audience like this one, and then practice speaking in front of them until you feel comfortable. And that, again, carries over into waking life. And we can also solve problems more easily when we work with the sleep state, the dream state, the lucid dream state. Harvard psychologist Robert Stickgold and his team designed a virtual maze. And they asked about 100 people to explore the maze. Then they asked half of the people to have a 90-minute nap. Okay. Now, the nappers Once they all woke up and they tried it again, the nappers were much better than the people who hadn't taken a nap, because their nap had helped them to consolidate their memory of the maze. But the most startling results came from the nappers who had also dreamed about navigating the maze, because they were almost 10 times better than the other nappers who didn't dream about the maze. And when you add lucidity to that equation, in a lucid dream, you could say, oh, okay, yes, I want to go and explore the maze right now. You explore it in your lucid dream. You can be very specific with lucid dreaming about inviting a particular kind of experience or asking a question to solve a problem. And I did a PhD on the role of lucid dreaming in the creative process. And so I worked an awful lot with my own dreams, my own lucid dreams, to write a novel, a lucid dream inspired novel. And as part of that, I would invite my novel characters to appear to me in my lucid dreams to find out more about them or to get ideas about the plot and expand my knowledge of what I could use in my book. I would also look out for imagery that was really amazing and powerful, and I would bring that into my novel as well. I also interviewed 25, 26 people who were artists and writers, and I asked them, how do you use lucid dreaming for your creative process? And one guy would walk into art galleries and find a really fantastic painting, and he would stand there staring at it, imprinting it on his mind, and then make himself wake up. And then he would just be able to draw it or sketch it and bring back that pure creativity. So when we're in lucid dreams, we can be specific. We can really ask for help. And that's a wonderful thing, because the creative dreaming mind is there. It's there every night. And of course, we have this in non lucid dreams as well. But what I found in my PhD was that we can be super specific, asking for help for a particular project when we become lucid in the dreams. You can also receive guidance from lucid dream figures. Wise figures can help you with problems in your life. You can ask any question in a lucid dream. You could ask questions about the nature of reality, or what are dreams made of? Or you could ask questions like, how do I find my soulmate? Or which job do I take? The one on this side of the country or that side of the country? And there is this innate wisdom in dreams that arises. And when we're conscious in the dream state, we can tap in to that wisdom. Dreams can also help us with healing. So these days, we have so many modern, amazing computerized techniques to help us. There's something called virtual reality exposure therapy. And this can be helpful for phobias, helping us to heal from phobias. So, what it involves is this computerized headset. So, you're in the headset and you can see a particular reality. Let's say you have a phobia about pigeons or snakes or spiders. What they do with this exposure therapy is they show you an image of, let's say it's a snake, and you're very scared of snakes, but you know that you're in this headset, so it's safe. It's not a real snake. And then that snake is allowed to come closer to you while you manage your fear. And then once you've been able to relax and be calm in the presence of this virtual snake, your fear in waking life is diminished. Okay. And of course, the headset is great. It has haptic feedback. So if you move around, it will mimic your movement so that you really feel engaged with your environment. But it's not a fully immersive environment like the lucid dream. In lucid dreams, you can do a similar kind of thing with phobias to help you heal. One woman, she had a fear of spiders, couldn't be in the same room as a spider, but she was a lucid dreamer. So she thought, okay, in my next lucid dream, I'm going to try and get closer to a spider without feeling fear. So she became lucid. There was a spider on a plant, and she went up and looked at it and even touched the spider because she knew it's a dream spider. I'm going to wake up safely. And remarkably, the next day after waking up from that dream, she actually allowed a real spider to crawl up her arm in waking life. And that for her would have been unthinkable before. So when we're in this immersive environment of the lucid dream, astonishing transformations can take place. And it doesn't take very long. It happens very quickly when we're ready for it, ready to face it. And this is because lucid dreams are hyper real and they're fully immersive environments, multisensory. And yet we can feel safe because we will wake up safely in our beds. We will wake up safely. And that's the thing that allows lucid dreamers to have the courage to face their fears. Yes, so nightmares. We can also transform nightmares for deep psychological healing. I wrote a whole book about this, The Art of Transforming Nightmares. And I've developed various techniques as well, such as the lucid imaging nightmare solution, which is a waking technique where we re enter a nightmare, a bad dream, and we can imagine we're lucid and have all the possibilities available to us for healing, such as asking for help in the dream, or fighting the dream monster, or embracing the dream monster, or whatever it is that's negative in the dream, integrating it, or acting in any way that feels empowering for us. And in my life, there's only been one time when I have suffered from PTSD nightmares, so post traumatic stress disorder nightmares. And that was about 15 years ago. And I was a new mother. I just had a baby girl. She was a few weeks old. And then one day we found her in her cot, and she was blue and she was stiff and she was not responding. So of course we freaked out. My husband called the ambulance and I tried to revive her. I put water on her face, nothing. I called her name, nothing happened. And then I put her on the sofa and I put my fingers together over her heart to press on her heart. And then I breathed a bit of air into her mouth. And when I did that, thank goodness, she came back. She started to breathe again. So I'd resuscitated her somehow, but she was still very weak. And then she was taken to hospital. She was there for a few days. And while I was there, one of the things the doctor said made me very anxious because he said, she's had that kind of experience once. It'll happen again. It's more likely to happen again. So I was like, oh no. I mean, you know how tired you are when you've given birth a few weeks before. But I didn't dare to sleep very deeply because I always wanted to check that my baby's belly was rising and falling. And then on top of all of that, I started having these recurring nightmares. In the nightmares, I would find a baby dead in her cot, and I would be unable to revive her. And I would scream and wake up really worried and upset. So these dreams, these nightmares happened a couple of times. And I was so tired, I barely had time to even think about it. It just felt like one more thing. But I said, okay, next time I am going to get lucid in that nightmare. No plan of action. I'm just going to get lucid. So I had a dream, perhaps the next night or so, dead baby in the cot, can't revive it, started to scream. In the middle of that scream of anguish, I became lucid in the dream. I knew that I was dreaming this. The moment I knew I was dreaming, I looked down at this baby and it no longer looked like a real baby. It was just like this shabby looking plastic doll. And I felt like, wow, I feel like tricked. My dreaming mind has tricked me into all that anguish and fear. And I was suddenly really angry. So I picked up this doll and I threw it down onto the floor. And I said, I refuse to have this kind of imagery in my dreams anymore. I am lucid and my baby is alive. And with that, everything changed. All my anger disappeared, all the anguish, that doll disappeared into the floorboards. And I suddenly felt like I was face to face with my dreaming mind, heart to heart, fully lucid. And it was amazing. There was like this kind of yoga rainbow energy, this light that came into my whole body, all of the cells of my body, and it buzzed through my body. And I just felt amazing. I felt complete. And I woke up with that same buzzing in my body, which really felt like the healing had gone through. And from that day, my anxiety levels around my baby went right down. And I felt like I'd kind of made a really powerful statement to reality. Like, I'm guiding the reality. My baby is alive. So I was able to release my fear around her. And I'm happy to say she's now a wonderful 15-year-old. She shares dreams with me nearly every day. It's just such a gift to have her in my life. So this is the kind of powerful transformation that can take place just in, a 3 or 4 minute lucid dream when we're able to face our fears. Another subject that I'd like to touch on is the importance of the power animals and guides that we meet in our lucid dreams. So I'm going to do a whole workshop on this. So I'm not going to say too much about it now. I just wanted to say that dream animals have so much to teach us. It can be extremely powerful to connect with their energy, so they have so much wisdom. One woman, for example, she always dreamed that she was being attacked by a black panther. And she said, "Why am I having these nightmares?" We did a little bit of dream work with it. And she talked to this panther and she asked it, "Why are you following me? Why are you attacking me?" And it looked at her with love in its eyes and it said, "I am here to help you fight your cancer." So it was there to help her heal. So even if we are attacked sometimes by dream creatures, that just means they want our attention. There is always a healing message to come from these animals. They have wisdom. They can help us in our lives. And all dreams, in my view, all dreams are healing dreams, even the worst nightmares. They come to help us transform. They come to help us move to the next level in our spiritual development. Yes, so we can meet spirit guides, these animals that share cosmic wisdom with us, show us the nature of our reality, what we're doing in our life, why are we here? They give us purpose. And so they can be catalysts for psychospiritual growth. And in the workshop tomorrow, we will do a lot of really fun, playful exercises with power animals or powerful figures or guides in our dreams. And we'll do a guided meditation where you will meet your power animal or guide. Okay, now we're going to get a bit more cosmic and move into what I call cosmic creativity, which is less about the personal creativity of painting a picture or getting a novel idea, and more about the nature of the universe. How did the universe get created? Where is all this creative power coming from? And we sometimes have creative information coming to us in dreams that we can't ignore. So one personal example of that is when I think it was about a year and a half ago, I had a dream that wasn't a regular dream. So no imagery, no symbols. It was just like black light, black space. And suddenly before me, there was an illuminated manuscript, glowing, beautiful. And I looked at it and started reading it. And I realized it was the table of contents for a book. And so I was trying to get it all into my head. And then I realized I can't possibly take in all this information. I'm just going to just accept it. So it came into my head, this table of contents, like a download, really. And I woke up with my head buzzing and I couldn't sleep. So I wrote down this table of contents. I did not want to write another book. I'd written 7 books. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. So the next morning I said, okay, I had a dream, table of contents, interesting download. I'm not going to write that book though. But then I went to my desk and there was an email from my editor at Llewellyn in the US, Claire, we'd love you to write another book for us. All we'd need is for you to send the table of contents. So I looked down and there's this table of contents that I'd written at 3 a.m. Oh, so after a while, I still resisted, but after a while I did send it off to my editor and they loved it and said they wanted it to become a book. So that was the book that I ended up having to write because of that dream, was Elixir of Sleep, that just came out in January. But we also have dreams that show us the cosmic nature of reality. I've had lucid dreams where I've asked questions about the nature of reality because I really want to know. So in one dream, I I woke up. I woke up in my dream in a sort of room with windows, and I remembered, okay, yeah, what I want to ask is, what are dreams made of? So I called out my question, and the whole of the dream started to shake from side to side and start to dissolve. And that's happened to me so many times in dreams that I just laughed and I said, yeah, okay. So dreams are made from energy. That's what it was saying, this energetic buzz. And I said, so answer me this. What is energy made from? And then the vibrations calmed down and there was this incredible movement of light, like a lattice of light, deeply interconnected, all intertwining. And it was so beautiful. And I said, oh, I get it. Energy is made from light. And that was one of the first dreams that started taking me to the light. And I'll talk more about that in a moment. But another dream I wanted to mention here was these are spontaneous dreams often as well. I mean, this next one, I became lucid spontaneously in a kind of cosmic space. It's like there were planets or maybe stars. But as I was suspended there, wondering, what was going to happen next, and was I going to be shown something, I started to see a sort of code being written out, and it was a code not only of words in the English language, but other languages as well. And there were also images and geometric shapes. And again, you can't take it all in with your consciousness. You can't sort of try and follow it and figure it all out when you're in that state. It's just a receptive state. But I understood that I was being shown the underlying source code of the universe. And I was seeing the moment by moment creation of everything, of this moment, for example, right now. Think of everything that's gone into this moment, that's pulled us together into this moment. I mean, there's so many different permutations and possibilities, and yet here we are, sharing this moment together. And so this underlying source code, it writes every single moment as we go through life. Extremely complex and incredibly beautiful. Yes. So that's when it all gets very creative. I'm going to briefly mention as well that in lucid dreams, we can connect with the dead. And this can be incredible because it teaches us about what might happen when we die. We can talk to dead people. So I've had many experiences of finding myself in a space of light. And I call this the lucid light. And often it's almost like it's a room made from light. And in these rooms, I meet powerful guides or I meet deceased people. For example, once I met the dream researcher, Dr. Ernest Hartman, in one of these lucid light spaces. And it was so good to see him again. And we hugged, and he seemed vibrantly healthy. Plus, he was about 20% higher, like bigger than a normal human being. They always are, they're always bigger. And we talked about the nature of life and death and the journey of the soul through life and through death and the preciousness of the present moment. This moment, that's what we have to be conscious in, this moment, to be able to fully expand with joyful awareness in this life. Yes, and I know Bhaskara is going to be doing a presentation linked with deceased people in dreams. So I'm going to move on from this, but just wanted to quickly mention that. Another topic I wanted to touch on was Kundalini awakenings in lucid dreams. We can do so much energy work in lucid dreams. I came up with the prana dream body hypothesis, which is in the complete book of lucid dreaming. In a nutshell, that hypothesis is that the dream body is an innate body image. We all have this innate body image, for millennia of how a human looks, how it feels to be in a human body. So we carry that into our dreams. It's an innate body image animated by prana, the life force that flows through us, that you can all feel. Maybe you feel it now in the little chakras in the palms of your hands. You feel it when you do yoga. You feel that pranic energetic flow. And that is what the dream body is made from. So that means that the more we tap into that kind of pranic energy flow while awake, the more likely we are to recognize when we're in the light, floaty, energetic dream body. So it's a great way of becoming lucid in your dreams. And we can work with this very alive Kundalini energy to dissolve blockages and to progress on the spiritual level. And one time I had a, a really, really cool lucid dream with a serpent. I was in a cave. It was very luminous. So there was clear water in the cave. And there was a beautiful big green snake just over there. And it was looking at me with very bright, conscious black eyes. And I noticed it. And I was with my daughter in the cave. So I thought, well, it's a big snake. I better get out of here. So I started ushering my daughter out of the cave. But the snake slithered across the floor and came to me. And it touched my back. And at that moment, three things happened. First, I became lucid. I was conscious in my dream. Second, I knew that this snake was not there to hurt me. It was there to share its power with me. And thirdly, where it touched me, there was this buzzing energy at the base of my spine, really powerful, like, like this. And so I released, I relaxed, I surrendered. I knew I was going to be fine. And I could feel the weight of that snake on my back as it went up my spine, activating my entire spine. So it was like glowing, it was like sparkling with energy. And it went right the way up to the top of my head. And when all this energy reached the top of my head, it went exploded outwards into light. And everything dissolved into light. And it felt incredible. The whole body was buzzing. I woke up from that still buzzing, and it helped me with a waking life situation where I'd had two publishers on either side of the Atlantic who were in an argument about my books, and I'd stayed out of it. But when I woke up with that Kundalini serpent energy in me, I was like, right, I'm going to act. And everything resolved amazingly easily. I made one phone call. Everybody was like, oh, yeah, okay, we'll do that. And within 2 weeks, I had two book deals. One was The Art of Lucid Dreaming, the other, The Art of Transforming Nightmares, because I had brought that Kundalini energy, that power into my life and acted upon it. And we can also work with sexual energy in lucid dreams to transform it or transmute it into spiritual ecstasy. We can utilize that energy, bring it up through the body to energize and invigorate ourselves and move towards spiritual experiences. So now I'm going to talk about the lucid light, which I mentioned earlier. And you would have heard me say the word light quite a few times probably in this presentation, because light is fundamental to who we are and what we are. It is actually what we are made of. I consider the lucid light to be the baseline state of consciousness. So it's not the baseline state is not the waking state, which is what most people seem to assume. Why? Why do we assume that? This is like a dream with loads of stuff happening in it. What's underlying that dream is light. That's where it all comes from. So the lucid light is the baseline state of consciousness. This is the light from which all form and matter emerges. It's the light of creation. It's where we came from when we were born. It's where we return to when we die. But it's not somewhere else. It's right here, right now. It's easier to connect with the lucid light in altered states of consciousness, such as lucid dreams or yoga nidra states where you lie down, your body falls asleep, but your mind is awake and alert and conscious. And it's incredibly rejuvenating to connect with this light. We miss it in the waking state because our minds are so busy with all these thoughts and all these interactions, but it's right here. It's right now. And it's amazing to experience this lucid light. In the lucid light, many things may happen. The main thing that happens for me in my lucid dreams when I enter the lucid light is that I dissolve. My dream body dissolves. I'm like a speck of conscious awareness, just a speck, a bright speck. And then even that dissolves. It dissolves. There's no more little Claire. She's not there anymore. You become part of all that there is. You dissolve into oneness. And what this experience brings you is the knowledge that we are all one. We are all one. Nothing is separate. We think we're little separate people in separate bodies with separate brains. And yeah, we have somehow bought into this illusion of separateness. It doesn't exist. When we experience the lucid light, we expand. We become something infinite. We become pure consciousness. And we sometimes meet, as I said earlier, figures of light, or we have incredible experiences in this space. Once I was in a dream, I was walking up the stairs, and I was getting more and more conscious, more and more aware. And I walked into one of these spaces of light, and there was nobody there. And I thought, oh, that's weird. Normally there's some sort of figure in these rooms. And then I heard a woman's voice singing, beautiful song that spoke to my soul. And then this very tall woman came in. She was about 9 feet tall, and she had incredible amber eyes, and she was singing this amazing song. She came close to me, and I looked into her eyes, and as I looked into those amber eyes, they morphed and became one giant third eye, a really big third eye. I was like, wow. The next second, she had somehow lifted me up with the power of this third eye, and I was given a kind of view of the cosmos where I saw that time doesn't really exist. Everything's happening now. It's all layers upon layers, and we are part of a vast interconnected constellation of consciousness. And it's hard to put it into words because there are no words when you're just there experiencing this. But I understood that everything is light and that it's all going to be okay in the end, guys. We worry so much. There are so many things in life. But the true source of ourselves is this light. The Tibetan Buddhists call it the clear light. I call it the lucid light because I encounter it in my lucid dreams so often. When she had finished showing me this vision of the cosmos, she kind of sent a beam of light from her third eye, and it lodged inside my heart. And then I was released. I woke up, and I could still feel that light in my heart, very pure, very bright. And I woke up thinking, we are all made from light. So these kinds of experiences, also in the lucid void, which is where we float in usually black space, black light, but it could be light of any color. It's like the gap between dreams. We float in these spaces, we make cosmic connections, and we understand more the nature of who we really are. And it's not just this little person. We are much more powerful than most of us believe. We have high spiritual power. So our choice is to, whether to sleepwalk through our lives, like I said, or to step into our power and become who we're meant to become and live the life of our dreams. And this takes us towards spiritual enlightenment, spiritual awakening. It's the way to help others as well. So I always think there's no such thing really as personal enlightenment, because enlightenment is about waking up to oneness. So actually, it's about species enlightenment. It's about waking up as a species and moving forward in our human evolution, our planetary evolution, and realizing the nature of reality. Life is a collective dream. So why not wake up inside this dream? Why not lucid dream our lives? We can help other people. We can bring love, compassion into life. I really believe that's why we're here. We're here to uncover our gifts and share them with others, and to wake up collectively into a whole new way of being. There's so much more I can say, but I think I'll talk about the blue light beings and the mythic fairy in the Power Animals workshop tomorrow, because I know I've only got about 5 minutes left. So really, just to summarize, lucid dreaming has its own kind of intelligence. And when we embrace that intelligence, not just when we're lucid in a dream, but also lucid right now, at this moment, wake up, get clarity of consciousness as often as you can, every single day, then you tap into a far deeper intelligence. It's there inside all of us. We all have this. We have the lucid light. We all have this infinite wisdom, but we block it out with our daily interactions. So we've got to open up to it if we want to awaken truly. So it is a choice, as I said at the beginning. So it's great to view sleep as a spiritual practice. So many people push sleep to the edges of their lives. They say, I don't have time for this. I'm too busy working. But you know what? I think that, if we were to find, if the answers to the problems of existence, the problems of humans were to be found in the waking state, we would have found them already. We would have found those solutions. I believe that those solutions to all of the big mysteries of life, they are to be found in the sleep state. Everything that we experience in a whole of the night of sleep, those moments of lucidity, also the deep spiritual dreams, the gaps between dreams where we float, hypnagogia, hypnopompia, those moments as we're falling asleep or waking up. There's so much magic and power in these moments. So let's embrace sleep. Let's embrace those states of bliss. Let's embrace the wisdom and open ourselves up to a true spiritual awakening. Thank you for listening. And I think there's time for questions. I'm not sure how much time. But... Okay, would you like to ask any questions? Okay, so the reason in meditation that we take our attention to the senses in the beginning is simply to slow us down, to slow down our thoughts and give us some sort of focus that we can relate to easily, because our minds are so busy, right? So that's just one way of being mindful as we enter meditation. But once we release that, when we're in deep meditation, we're not aware anymore, really, of our surroundings. We go within and we enter a space of consciousness. I call it like the golden moments, where we don't think anymore. We're just suspended in this kind of luminous consciousness. So, yeah, I see what you're saying, but that's just like one of the ways in. But this is why sleep is so great. This is why sleep is a spiritual practice, because every night as we fall asleep, we leave this physical world behind and we take on a dream body and we take on a different kind of consciousness. And that gives us the opportunity to practice without the physical body and the physical distractions of the waking world. That's what makes it so precious. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, yeah, sure. Good question. Yeah, I have meditated in lucid dreams, and I found that it's the fastest route to oneness, the fastest, because you don't have the distractions of the physical body. So what I used to do when I started practicing meditating in lucid dreams was I'd sit down, cross-legged and kind of be ready with my straight spine. and um, and that would always take me out of the dream. The dream would fall away, and then I'd be floating in light. Yeah, or sometimes I would wake up. But I soon realized I don't need to sit down in my lucid dream and do that formal thing. Don't need to. So I realized that all you need to do in a lucid dream, once you've got stable lucidity, is simply to have the intention to meditate. And then, boom, immediately you get taken into a state of oneness. There are no distractions. And so it's absolutely beautiful to do this. It's incredibly refreshing. This can take, you could just do it for like, I don't know, during an afternoon nap in 20 minutes or so. And you come out of there feeling energized and alive and vibrant. So I would definitely recommend it if you want to try it. Yes, thank you. Okay, so how do I get lucid in my dreams? So for me, my preferred method is during a nap time because you have really great brain chemistry at nap times for lucid dreaming because you're not going to go into a deep sleep then, so you're kind of more on the surface. And I set an intention to become lucid in my dreams. I tend to watch the hypnagogic imagery or sensations. That's when we're falling asleep. We may get flashes of imagery or sensations of falling or floating or sounds, buzzing sensations. So I can follow those and it builds up into a dream. So you can have a wake initiated lucid dream. You can actually watch the dream being built, which is quite fabulous. So that's one method. There are many more in my book, The Art of Lucid Dreaming. There's like 64 practices and many techniques. So you can certainly learn it. Thank you. Of reasons for having negative mental states in dreams. So I think I heard you say as well that sometimes they come true in waking life. You can dream of something negative and then it will come true. And this is because this shows us again, it reminds us constantly that time is flexible. Time is not linear. And the dreams often tap into what's going to come in the future. We didn't have a chance to tap into any of this today, but yeah, it's very flexible time. And so you can get that. That could be one reason for a negative mental state in a dream. I mean, I've had dreams where I've been forewarned that something bad is going to happen or something difficult is going to occur in my life. But at the same time, I've always been shown how to deal with that. Like I've been taken into a deep meditation and shown that something bad's going to happen, but I have this underlying sense of peace within that meditation. And that has helped me when the actual event happened a few weeks later. Other reasons for negative mental states are I mean, these dreams come to help us. They come to show us that something needs our attention, it needs our healing. And so when we bring the light of consciousness, the light of awareness to these dreams, we can work with them very easily to dissolve that difficult mental state or to change something. So dreams are always here with some kind of guidance. They want to help us through life. They light our way through life. So I hope that's kind of answered your question. Thank you. So, well, travel in lucid dreams is very easy as long as you're highly aware. That's the deciding factor. So, for example, with me teleporting to France, you just think yourself there. You're like, I'm in France now, and then you can be there. With encountering other beings, that was one part of the presentation I didn't quite get around to talking about these beings of light, like long, tall columns of blue light energy that I sometimes meet, that seem to have infinite wisdom. They're much wiser than me. They know way more than I do. And yeah, so you do go into, I guess, a sort of, you could call it a parallel universe or just the multiverse, really. So you're not in this reality anymore. You're not in a regular dream. You're not even in a regular lucid dream. You've gone to another dimension. So it's entirely possible. And the whole thing with traveling in lucid dreaming is that it's to do with the clarity of your mind, how quickly you can get to where you're going or your mode of travel. So yes, very much to explore there. And it's very delightful to actually experiment in our lucid dreams and just see what is possible because it opens up so much potential to us on every level. Thank you. Welcome to Sleep and Deep Lucid Dreaming, the podcast that explores your inner universe and invites you to fall in love with sleep. I'm Dr. Clare Johnson, and I'm here to help you tap into your own genius and discover the mysteries of sleep and lucid dreams. As a warm welcome to my podcast, you can instantly download 2 free audio classes, one on how to lucid dream and the other on tips for deep sleep. Imagine for just a moment the next 10 years of your life stretching out in front of you in all their glorious potential. And now consider the fact that you're going to spend over 3 of those years asleep. We all spend a third of our lives asleep, but often people barely give a thought as to the many treasures sleep offers, like lucid dreaming, where you become consciously aware during a dream, or natural healing and enhanced memory. Sleep harbors the genius of your unconscious intelligence, which helps with creativity and problem solving. And once you get into deep lucid dreaming, you may even receive enlightening insights into the nature of time, space, and reality. These are just some of the gifts sleep brings. So why not discover more about sleep and all of the shifting states of consciousness it encompasses? This podcast seems like the best way of giving you short bursts of sleeping and dreaming consciousness, thought-provoking glimpses into your inner universe to remind you that there's more to you than meets the eye, more to you than your waking self. You're so much greater than that. And this is one of the things that sleep teaches us. You have enormous untapped potential. Sleep and dreams hold the key to your potential, bringing you immense benefits and greater success in your waking life too. This podcast will help you raise your lucid awareness in all states of consciousness and inspire you to engage with the fantastic depths of your inner life. Because so many of us sleepwalk through our lives. We miss the magic that's present in every moment because we're too distracted or too stressed to notice it. But when we engage with our dreaming mind and embrace the gifts of sleep, we awaken to the bigger picture of life. We become aware of the dreamlike nature of life itself, and we understand how best we can navigate this collective waking lucid dream, the lucid dream of life. This podcast aims to answer your burning questions about lucid dreaming, sleep, and consciousness. You'll receive tips, techniques, and rituals you can instantly apply that same night to open up your inner universe. My passion for lucid dreaming began when I was just 3 years old. And for decades, my professional life has revolved around helping others to discover the marvelous world of sleep and lucid dreams. To give you a bit of background, I was the first person in the world to do a PhD on lucid dreaming as a creative tool. I've written 8 books, including The Art of Lucid Dreaming, Elixir of Sleep, that's my latest book, and The Art of Transforming Nightmares, as well as the massive and groundbreaking complete book of lucid dreaming. I'm a former president and CEO of the International Association for the Study of Dreams, and I'm the creator of Deep Lucid Dreaming video courses with guided meditation for blissful sleep and lucid adventures. I lead beautiful in-person retreats, lucid dream retreats by the ocean, and on my website, deepluciddreaming.com, you can receive various dream gifts, including lucid dream meditations and a couple of free guidebooks. In this podcast, we'll explore portals into lucid dreaming, restful sleep, super creative dreams, hypnagogic states, and out-of-body experiences. You'll gain insights into the nature of consciousness and discover how to access the creative genius of your dreaming mind. You'll start to welcome sleep every night as a healing elixir for body, mind, and spirit, and wake up refreshed and joyful. You might even learn how to make your wildest dreams come true. But we will look at the tough stuff too, such as scary sleep paralysis, where you feel like you're trapped and can't move your body, anxiety dreams, insomnia, and nightmares. I'll share my best techniques for releasing fear and guiding dreams into healing experiences. And when I was a kid, I had recurring lucid nightmares, episodes of sleepwalking, sleep paralysis. There was nobody to help me understand what was happening. I had to figure out for myself how to overcome fear and navigate the thought-responsive dream reality. That early baptism of fire actually helped me to develop many original techniques to help others. So I have lots of practical advice for those of you who would like tips on how to handle scary sleep experiences, as well as tips on how to have amazing lucid dreams. I will release one episode per week, and once a month, I'll release a conversation with amazing dreamers and authors so that we can hear their stories and perspectives. And as you listen, you'll discover who you are when you sleep and dream. You'll explore the frontiers of your own consciousness, and this life of yours will become richer and happier. After all, why not expand your existence by waking up to the power of sleep and dreams? Why not tap into your inner genius? It's right there, waiting for you every night when you fall asleep. After a lifetime of personal lucid dreaming and sleep exploration, I've reached the conclusion that sleep is key to the evolution of human consciousness. When we engage with the shifting states of awareness within sleep, we can find answers to all of the big questions of existence. At any given time of the day or night, there are millions of humans dreaming. It seems to me that we continuously dream our world into being. Our genius dream intelligence enables us to process the past, solve problems, and imagine the future. While we sleep, others are world building in waking physical reality. And when they fall asleep, we take over. And so the collective dream of life continues. The world invents itself afresh in an endless stream of creative acts. This is spectacular. As you can probably tell, I'm already madly in love with sleep and deep lucid dreaming and the wondrous states of consciousness we encounter when we close our eyes at night. And my hope is that as you listen to my show, you'll fall in love with sleep as well, and that this will expand your consciousness and increase your happiness and improve your life on all levels of being. So I invite you to engage with me by subscribing to my podcast on your favorite platform and writing a quick review if you have a spare moment. That would be very kind. And you're welcome, perhaps at the end of your review comment, to suggest a topic you'd like me to explore, or a question you'd like me to answer, so I can look out for those and we can co-create this as we go along. Stay tuned and I'll help you to take your sleep and your lucid dreaming to the next level. Thank you very much for listening, and I wish you deep, lucid dreams.